I mean, there's so much like I'm not like Mr. Brown. Like I say, Mr. Brown, Harlem and Wolf. Like I said, you got to go down. He people would walk into his office for women would walk into his office wherever he was, and he would say, "You got to go down on the brown if you're gonna get around." That was his line. He would say how he had to go down on how the girl had to go down on the brown if they wanted to get around. Like I'm not gonna be some piece of shit black man that's gonna be I'm not a piece of shit black man that's gonna be like you gotta go down on the brown to get around. That was his favorite line. So like I said, you ask around Hollywood, they'll tell you about Mr. Brown. Like this was like in the 50s and 60s or the 60s and 70s or 80s. Like Mr. Brown was around and girls were getting down with him or something like that. And he had all these lines, like he was some big shot or something like that. It was just like if you want to work if you want to work around there, and he didn't even have that much money. He was using other people's money. It was stupid. And like I say, I'm not one of those people I was never one of those. That's why everyone loved me because I wasn't gonna ask them for sex and demand sex out of them or something, or I had to demand them to go shoot someone. It's like I wasn't a sick psychopath. I was taking all I could get. Like other people say would say how they had to take everything that they could get while the getting was good. And it's like wow. Like yeah, this is really wasted time, my time, just being around here. And they go to other people and they're like, and then they're walking down the street and talking to people like how they're this big shot and everybody goes to them and everybody loves them and everybody uses them and it's like most people actually don't use them if they have a choice and like a lot of people just walk out of his office or something like that and he even and I think he even has like his security will like stand at the door and be like no you can't leave until you're done with Mr. Brown. Like they actually did that. Or like this big buff guy would be like, no, you're not leaving until you're done with Mr. Brown. Like so the girl had to once she walked in that office she had to do it. Or she wasn't leaving or saying like you didn't want to go see Mr. Brown. So his name was something else. I don't know. I forget what his name was. Anyway though, but that's why and like every of all the black people that worked for him, like a lot of black people would go to him thinking that he was black and he was on their side. And it's like no, he wasn't. And he would take and like he would take most of the money, and then he'd be like, oh yeah, here's your royalty, and it'd be like $1.70 or some small amount. It'd be a some small amount, and he's like, well, I gotta take my commission, and stuff like that, and like. Anyway, it's just ridiculous. It was just so bad. Like everyone thought that Hollywood was all bad, and it's like, no, that was actually just the black part. The white part was much better. I mean, the normal people part was much better. We just, you know, the 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 normal Hollywood was like, hee we're they were rich. They're doing whatever they wanted. It was just the black part of it because like black films, and people would use black actors would go to the black directors thinking that they were going to hook them up or do something spiffy cool for them, and it was all a lie. So all these black people thought, they're like, oh yeah, and I think even Mr. Brown would be like, oh well, I got people that they're hounding me and stuff like that, and oh yeah, I don't make any money, and he would always say that he didn't make any money and this and that, and like he was just lying to everyone about everything. So where black people thought there was some white guy above him, like taking all the money or something like that, and it was actually just Mr. Brown. He's all black. They were the only ones enslaving or oppressing anyone. So, and like I said, I think he would actually like break legs to try and make it so he was the only director in town or the only mover and shaker in town or something like that. And he did do that until he met up. Like I said, I love me an Irishman. The Irishman, like he did that until he met the Irishman, and then it was like, and then they put a stop to it. They put it, the Irishmen, the Irish. That's why they got slammed so hard because they put a stop to a lot of the stuff. They were like, no, you're not. Anyway, the Irishmen. I love the Irishmen. Like they're actually the best people ever because you know they would see all this disrespect happening and all this and that kind of stuff happening, and they put a stop to it. And they were cool. Like when they were around the docks there, I don't think there was any corruption. Like honestly, I don't think the IRA or the Irish the Irish people had any real corruption. I think they were just getting slammed by. I think it was all lies. Because like I said, I paid them to go build the Empire State Building, and they built it ahead of schedule, like almost under budget. Like and then later on they're like, oh yeah, the Empire State Building was way over budget and this and that. It's like, no, it wasn't. The Irish actually did it under budget. Like and ahead of schedule too. Like the Irishmen they were like, it's like, you sure? I guess you don't need help, do you? They're like, no, we got it. We don't. The Irishmen were like, we got it. We don't need help. And I'm like, and it's like, well, I guess you didn't need help. I mean, the Irishmen were an amazing group back in the day. Like they would do anything. They could do anything. Like I said, whenever I had a problem, I called an Irishman. So I was like, could you help this team out, please? And they would, like I said, that's how Australians or Aussies got started. I had a mine in Australia and I was having a problem with it, so I sent the Irish down there, and no more problems, done. Mine was ticking over. Everything was smooth sailing from then on. Once the Irishmen went in there, and then they just stayed there. They liked it so much. They were just, oh, we're fine down here. We're happy. I'm like, okay. So the Irishmen stayed in Australia and became Aussies. That's why I say the Australians aren't Australians. They're actually Irishmen that just stayed down there. So that's the way it works. That's the mix of it. So if you're Australian and you want to know where your family came from, Ireland. That's where your family really comes from. I think at one point in time there might have been some problems in Ireland or someplace, and so we had to there's been evacuations almost everywhere where it's like war. And it's like evacuate the women and children. Like we do that. We did that a lot throughout the years. So, and I was always there. That's why LS ships would always like, right, women, children first, get on. That's where that comes from. It's me. It's like, well, men are going to have to stay and fight as long as they can until we can get enough ships, because I only had so many ships. So I had a lot of ships, but I was always doing evacuations. So it's like, well, I'm going to go broke, but we'll get them out. So, and we did. That's why there's so many people living today. That's why so many people owe their lives to me, because the LSF, the LS ships were always there. And I'm proud of it. I had really good people. And we cared. We cared.